Hey everyone, welcome back to Backstage, and in today's video we are going to be talking about one of the most popular shoe brands out there, UGG. So let's rewind all the way back to 1978 to Southern California. But the story of UGG actually doesn't begin in California. It starts all the way across the world in Australia, where surfers have been wearing sheepskin boots for decades. So actually in Australia, sheepskin boots weren't a trend. They were practical and common. Surfers would pull them on after being in the freezing cold waters, and the natural insulation of the wool would keep their feet warm and dry. They weren't really seen as fashion, they were just functional, something that you would just do, not really wear to show it off. It was ugly, but they were effective. So now enter Brian Smith. He was a young accountant turned surfer from Perth, Australia, and he was chasing waves in a dream. After graduating with a degree in accounting, Brian realized that the corporate life wasn't for him. He was really passionate about surfing, and he decided to move to Southern California in search of opportunity in warmer and better waves. So when Brian actually got to California, something clicked. He noticed a really strange gap. Despite having a really huge surfing community, no one in California was wearing sheepskin boots like they did in Australia. So normally after a surf, people would just strip off their wetsuit and slip into cozy boots. That idea was missing here. So we had an idea. Why not bring Australian sheepskin boots to the American surf market? Brian made some calls and contacts back home, and he ordered a few dozen pair of basic sheepskin boots that you would just typically find in Australia. He put them in his duffel bag and officially launched a brand called UGG Imports, which was named after what Aussies affectionately called their ugly boots. The early years of Brian's company was really rough. In his own words, Brian had to educate people about the product. It's just sheepskin footwear. They didn't understand the value of the material or why anyone would want to wear something so fuzzy looking outside the house. It didn't look right to them. And for his first year of sales, it was just $14,000. Most retailers rejected him, and they said that the boots were too weird and just weird looking. Others said that they were too expensive. And to be fair, UGG boots, they weren't really cheap because authentic sheepskin is a really premium material. So Brian actually pivoted to a grassroots approach. He hit the surf shops, beach events, and college campuses, showing people what the boots felt like on the inside. And he was trying to explain that he wasn't really selling fashion, he wanted to sell comfort and lifestyle. Brian really leaned all the way into the surf culture. He would run DIY style ads that featured real surfers wearing Uggs after coming out of the ocean, and they were still dripping wet, wrapped in towels, and their boots were in the sand. He positioned UGG as a post-surf essential, not stylish, not glamorous, just real and authentic. And slowly something did start to shift. UGG was slowly becoming more and more popular, and surfers began to adopt Uggs for their functionality. Skiers actually picked them up too. After a long day on the slopes, they would slip into the warm, cozy boots, and they felt like heaven. Soon, yoga instructors, athletes, and stay-at-home moms started wearing them too. The brand really grew organically through word of mouth. They didn't put any extra money into marketing. Friends told friends, surfers shared it with skiers. It wasn't about mass marketing. It was about really building an authentic connection with communities who valued the comfort of the UGG boots. And in the early 1990s, UGG really had built a loyal following in the niche markets, but it hadn't crossed into the mainstream retail markets yet. And Brian knew that he had taken the brand as far as he could as an independent founder, and now he really needed to find someone who could scale Uggs into a household name. And that's when he met the Deckers Outdoor Corporation. In 1995, after nearly 17 years of building the brand from scratch, Brian sold UGG to Deckers for approximately $14 to $15 million. He stayed on for a while to help with the transition, make sure everything was okay, but he ultimately did step back to allow Deckers to take the full reins of the brand. And it was more than just a business sale. It was a major turning point for UGG. Deckers didn't see UGG as just a cozy boot. They saw a global lifestyle brand with really high potential. And at the time, Deckers was best known for their Teva sandals, and they were outdoor focused and had experience scaling niche products into wider markets. And under Deckers, the transformation of UGG began to really turn. So now that I explained a little bit about the brand, about UGG and how they started and how they were founded, let's talk into the business strategies that UGG used to really expand. So Deckers engineered a fashion phenomenon. Now that UGG was under the Deckers wing in the mid-90s, everything completely changed for the brand. They went from a niche surfer favorite to one of the most iconic, debated, and profitable fashion trends in the 2000s. But let's be very clear, this did not happen overnight. It took a very long and slow time. UGG's glow up was the result of strategic, long-term business moves that played to trends, timing, and culture. So now let's break down how UGG really expanded. So Uggs used something called the celebrity strategy. So Deckers made a very smart pivot. They stopped marketing Ugg as a surfer or sports brand and started framing it as a luxury comfort item. So here's the play. They actually sent Ugg boots directly to stylists, publicists, and A-list celebrities. And then all of a sudden, it happened. In the early 2000s, Pamela Anderson, Kate Hudson, Hilton, and most iconically, Oprah Winfrey were all seen wearing Uggs. But the real turning point was when Oprah actually added Ugg boots to her 2000 favorite things list. And that single endorsement really exploded sales. The boots actually sold out immediately, and Ugg went from a niche brand to a nationwide obsession. They weren't just your regular boots anymore. They were a status symbol. And suddenly people everywhere were wearing Uggs. It wasn't seen as a lazy shoe. It was seen as a luxury leisure. Ugg knew that selling only one product, a warm boot, was risky in a seasonal market. So Deckers expanded the product line aggressively but carefully. So they launched lightweight boots for people to wear in the spring and fall. They launched slippers, which became a bestseller in the colder months, sandals and slides to make the brand year-round so people could purchase it whenever they wanted. They also launched apparel, accessories, and even products that you could use at home, like blankets and robes. And by really diversifying their products, Ugg unlocked year-round revenue streams instead of only peaking during the wintertime. Deckers also used their global distribution network to expand Ugg internationally, especially in Europe, Japan, and China, where luxury casual was growing very fast. They opened flagship retail stores in high-end shopping areas like in Soho in New York and in Shibuya in Tokyo to control the brand image and create immersive customer experiences. They weren't just stores. Ugg really wanted to place them as lifestyle centers for the brand. So to be perfectly clear, Ugg boots are not cheap. They are not cheap shoes, and that was chosen intentionally. So Deckers really wanted to maintain premium pricing to preserve the brand's image. So they heavily invested in high quality materials like grade A sheepskin, really nice elevated packaging. They had limited edition and collaboration capsules with designers like Jeremy Scott, Y Project, and Telfar, and this helps Ugg evolve from comfy college casual shoe to a fashion-forward luxury staple. So in the 2010s, Ugg did suffer a little bit. They did see a dip in cultural relevance. A lot of people were calling them outdated, basic, or even just plain ugly, and actually instead of panicking, Ugg decided to play the long game. So Deckers brought in fashion collaborators to reimagine the boot. So Y Project's slouchy thigh-high Uggs turned heads at Paris Fashion Week. Telfar and Ugg, when they collabed, they became a viral hit on TikTok and Instagram. Heron Preston, Ecoslada, and BAPE helped Ugg cross into streetwear and more Gen Z styles and to really cater to the different audiences that Ugg had. And these drops generated lots of press and high fashion validation from consumers. Another important business move that Ugg made was that they didn't sleep on digital trends. When TikTok exploded, so did Ugg's mini boot revival. Influencers and fashion TikTokers were styling Uggs with streetwear, leggings, oversized hoodies, bringing the brand full circle from the early 2000s aesthetic into the Gen Z world. So Ugg changed as time evolved, as styles are evolving. That's what Ugg did. They wanted to maintain that same style that was evolving. They wanted to cater to new audiences. Deckers heavily invested in influencer campaigns. They would have limited drops to generate urgency and want for the brand. And they also had Ugg Renew program to appeal to sustainability conscious buyers, because some people they really like to support the brands that say that they recycle and refurbish their products, and this would expand their audience to those consumers. And Deckers also developed one of the best DTC and wholesale hybrid models in fashion. They balanced retail partners like Nordstrom and Zappos. They have their own Ugg branded stores. They also have a powerful e-commerce platform with customization, gifting, and loyalty perks. And this omni-channel strategy made it easy to find Uggs pretty much anywhere. So from high fashion boutiques to airport and duty-free shops. In recent years, Ugg really leaned into transparency and sustainability to resonate with the younger buyers. So they used Ugg Pure Wool, which was a more responsible and clean wool blend. They would set goals for reducing emissions and recycling their packaging, and they also launched Ugg Plush and Ugg Renew to encourage repairing and recycling. And even though they're not completely perfect, it is part of how they're staying relevant in today's world, following values-driven by the consumer world. So UGG isn't just a story about cozy boots, it's a case study in brand reinvention. They went from a niche surf product to a fashion must-have. Then they were weathered for being labeled as basic, only to change their brand with designer collabs. They became really viral all over TikTok. They have a global consumer base now, but their key was that UGG never tried to fight who and what they were. They just kept on refining it. They understood that comfort is always in style and you just need to market it in the right way. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Brand Backstage, and let me know in the comments what brand I should cover next.